Discernment knows the difference between a fall and a bounce. Grace and peace, everybody. Welcome to Sabbath School Study Group. My name is Chris Bailey. This is part number 2 of our 5-part series, Reasons for Thanksgiving and Prayer. We're talking about discernment, and I'm grateful personally that I have a mother and a father, and they taught me the difference between right and wrong, which is why the gift of discernment is so valuable. Our very life can depend on it. But then there's another type of discernment where we need to understand sometimes what is appearing to be bad, how it can actually be good. And then what appears to be bad, and it is actually bad. That's the difference between a fall versus a bounce. But before we get into that, I want to thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. We hope the study connects with you enough to watch the video all the way through to the end and subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like for us to come to where you are, send us an email. And that email address is contact@thechangeministry.org. So back to this point about discernment, knowing the difference between a fall and a bounce. Paul is in a situation where it would appear that this is like a failure. He's incarcerated. One of the leaders of the movement is gone. So you would think that the movement would stop. It would be more of a problem than possibilities. But that's where the discernment comes in, to see the bounce, the blessing. Because in Philippians chapter 1, verse 12, Paul says, "But I would you would understand, brethren, that the things which happen unto me have fallen out rather unto the furtherance of the gospel." The things that have happened to me, it's actually fallen out or bounced to the gospel going forward. See, when you are playing a game, and if you go out of bounds, normally out of those lines, the play ends. The game is over essentially, because there is no movement outside of those lines. That's what happens when we fall. When we fall from grace, when we fall into sin, we fall into a place that puts us more distant from God, more distant than where we were. But a bounce is different. What appears to be the stop of this movement actually propels it forward. So it's a bounce effect to where Paul, you think he's going down, but by him going down and bouncing back, it's leading to something even bigger, even better, where he even says in verse 13, "So that my bonds in Christ are manifest in all the palace and in all other places. And many of the brethren in the Lord, waxing confident by my bonds, are much more bold to speak the word without fear." This is a bounce, not a fall. To where now, because Paul is being held back, it's actually pushing others to the forefront. And people are seeing his testimony. It's making them bold enough to say, wow, if God can do that with him, I think it's his turn to do something with me. And others are stepping up and doing the work that only one person was doing before. So to stick with our analogy, when you're bouncing the ball, like even in a game like basketball, where you're bouncing the ball, that ball is going down all the way down to the ground. And that process of going down and it bouncing back up, it's actually a part of the movement for offense. And what's the goal of offense? To score. And sometimes when we look at our bouncing, when we look at our going in a direction that does not appear to be beneficial to us, because God is in control, we're not going out of bounds. We're bouncing out of that circumstance and into something better, so that Paul could even say what he says in Philippians 1:19, "For I know that this shall turn to my salvation through your prayer and the supply of the Spirit of Christ, according to my earnest expectation and my hope that in nothing I shall be ashamed, but that with all boldness, as always, so now also Christ shall be magnified in my body, whether it be by life or by death." Paul is saying that even if I die, that's going to be a bounce. It's going to serve to be a blessing in some way for somebody. God is looking for us to have that discernment, to know if I'm living in line with God, if I'm not falling outside of his will through his commandments, I can kind of turn my mind away from this being a fall or a failure to, maybe this is a bounce. I don't like it right now. It might not be comfortable because I'm on that downward motion. But brothers, sisters, sometimes when you hit that bottom, when you hit that ground, that's the point where it seems like all is over, that God is now going to use that hard surface to launch us, to launch his plan into something better than scoring a basket, even better than winning ourselves, but even using us to help somebody else to win.